Why does this furry at a Starbucks union rally matter? Michael Vestigo, better known as Apollo Ilios, is a furry from Kansas City who, along with his Starbucks co-workers, staged a walkout to protest unsafe working conditions and retaliation from management against their unionization efforts. He got fired from his job a week after on April 1st for displaying violent and threatening behavior. I'm not that person at all, he stated. He has social anxiety and cited trouble standing up for myself as a weakness in a job review meeting. Apollo believed, it's my personal belief that they took that and they basically targeted me because they thought I would just take it lying down. The tiny store won a union vote a week later, becoming the first unionized Starbucks in Kansas City. And videos of the Seattle rally in April, where hundreds of people came out to support Starbucks workers and national unionization movement, Paul addresses the crowd.
Tell me, does this violent and threatening?
He's one of several former Starbucks workers who claimed the company fired them for helping organize union drives at their stores. The company fired at least 19 pro-union employees between February and April, and that number is still rising. The National Labor Relations Board filed a complaint against the company this month, alleging that it wrongly fired dozens of organizers. The company's union busting tactics are obvious, with flyers citing false tweets to close the entire stores when they started organizing. According to Apollo, Seattle City Councilman Kashama Sawant invited himself and several other workers to Seattle. There, they joined the multi-day gathering of labor leaders and other workers in the movement, meet and participate in marches and rallies. During that trip, Seattle Starbucks Reserve Roaster won its union vote unanimously the day before the big rally. Apollo stated, while I was in Seattle doing all this work, I started to gain confidence because I was just so sure of what I was doing and so proud of what we were doing. We were first at the Overland Park strike, but this was a much bigger event. He checked with the organizers to make sure it was okay, and they were in full support. Holy mark for a large labor rights rally in the hometown of the company he was helping unionize was a moment he won't forget. I was like, how? How did I get here? To be there, fully expressing myself and speaking up for something I was so passionate about, and seeing that garner any amount of attention was an awesome feeling. Gaining more confidence than I ever had in my entire life. Apollo hoped that joining in Fursuit would represent the diversity of the movement. According to him, I think one of the things that makes a movement so beautiful is the fact that we can all be united despite our differences. It's very important to acknowledge that we are very different people, but we are part of the same machine. We're sort of be treated with respect no matter who we are. Paul is fighting to get his job back, filing a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board, telling me to went back to work soon. He states, ultimately that's what I want to do. I really love working for Starbucks. My team was a second family. They're all amazing people, and I just love working there. In an interview with Vice, Apollo states it's been a roller coaster as he always lived life in the shadows as an anxious person. From the local story to flying out to Seattle in the hometown of the company is more than he could have imagined. It's eternally grateful. People making fan art from the pictures, which is one of the coolest moments for Apollo. He started quietly unionizing back in January, but the manager eventually found out. They held partner development conversations, which according to Apollo were the most unprofessional in his entire life. They wouldn't talk about bill bearing, but instead were getting false information and being scared into not unionizing. They were hopeful the store manager was loved by the previous workers, and they thought they would remain neutral, but they weren't. Workers presented a unionization letter to Starbucks, and soon after there were more union busting activities, like losing benefits, losing wage increases, and pushing people out of the company. They presented a position, wanting Starbucks to recognize efforts to unionize, and denied everything that was presented to them. The store manager said to strike the petition, and what led to a walkout strike was when on March 11th, someone was accused of stealing $20,000 over 8 months. It was someone they knew who would never do that, as they were only there for 8 months. When they came back and told the workers that, they decided to strike. They don't even know how the money was stolen, and they backpedal on that, saying they made a mistake, even though they believe the manager would have found out way earlier. The tall attended the event in Fursuit. In the United States, many companies mistreat their employees by not paying them enough to survive. The store has 2 shipping containers in a T shape, and there were safety concerns over it, as there wasn't enough storage space, resulting in stacks of cardboard socks that were collapsed and blocked the bathroom door, where they also stored stuff. There wasn't a dedicated space to relax, so they had to go to cars in extreme temperatures. There was also a tiny parking lot, which resulted in not enough parking for employees and damaged cars. Tried bringing it up to the management, but were ignored by them, so they decided to unionize to bargain for better pay and working conditions. Some said try to listen by giving extra space and change the layout of the parking lot, but they still needed better pay and treatment from the management, who was mentally attacking lower management and workers. 30 Starbucks stores joined to unionize as workers were trying to force companies into providing better pay and working conditions. Starbucks had one of its most profitable years in 2020, and it was started by providing worker hours and raising product prices. He went back to work on April 1st and did his usual attachment pulled aside by his manager and given a paper. It stated on March 11th, the day after the incident happened, he was being witnessed behaving aggressively towards the district manager. When he told me he didn't do it, the manager told they weren't going to discuss it and never told to take his things and go. There was a worker in Seattle Seattle posted on Twitter that a councilman wanted to invite the people to retaliate against and fire out Seattle to the union campaign. Apollo didn't see the tweet himself, but a friend who was also fired messaged him and asked if he wanted to go. Although he didn't have a job, their expenses were paid for, so they went. Their friend also had been a victim being fired for pro-union activity, which isn't common among Starbucks members. Apollo met the Memphis 7, a group of baristas and shift supervisors from Memphis who were all fired in a single day, 15 minutes apart from each other. The NLRB rubbished the unfair labor practices against Starbucks, and they should get their jobs back. Apollo wanted to show up in fursuit from the beginning, as he wore at the strike, and he felt he should do it at the rally. His biggest concern was traveling with the fursuit. It was brand new, being received on February 2022 and commissioned in April 2021. He didn't know how to travel with it, and at first decided to attend the rally without it, but a friend convinced him otherwise, as they thought it would look cool. He started considering the logistics of it, and it only took the head, arms, and gloves, leaving the shoes and tail at home. He took the arm sleeves and gloves in a suitcase, while the head was wrapped in a blanket, and he brought it to the airport, being scared that he might damage it. He was getting confidence in the past 2 days from what he was doing. A meeting happened where Starbucks employees were flown in and were from the area were given a chance to speak. At first, Apollo didn't want to, as to how nervous he got and how he tripped over his words. However, as more people spoke, he tried speaking to a smaller group. It was the same message that was stated at the rally, and he thought it was good. They were all given a chance to speak at the rally, and while Apollo and the 2 other people were talking about how they were going to deliver the message. While 2 people were going to talk about how stars would treat them and how they were fired, Apollo was told to say what he said at the meeting. When the rally started, he felt so good and more confident than he ever thought possible, and when Apollo addressed the crowd in fursuit, he wasn't anxious and didn't stutter or trip over his words, being an awesome moment for him. He said that the movement we brought together, they set aside their differences while acknowledging them. Unions in the United States have been dying since the 60s. At one point, unions make up 35% of workers in 1945. Today, that number is down to 10.3 as of 2021. However, this is starting to change as workers at large companies like Starbucks and Amazon have started to unionize. This will inevitably lead to better pay and better working conditions for the workers. It will encourage even more to unionize. It's good for the workers, and businesses are fighting against it because it knows it means reduced profits for those at the top. Some people might think that the fursuit takes away from the union movement, but I don't believe that's the case. These people ignoring the fact that costumes are used at protests to bring attention to the movement. Remember Occupy Wall Street? People were protesting regarding Guy Fawkes masks as a symbol of anonymity. According to Rack, costumes serve a lot of purposes in activism, but it's become an eye-catching symbol of the group's message to create solidarity among groups, which set a tone for a particular event. But most importantly, a good costume or uniform becomes greater than itself. Furries have been a symbol of LGBTQ+ people who are those who support and oppose them. This protest will set the tone of others that will happen in the future, and hopefully make furries into advocates for change. If you want to see others hate on furries, check out a country try to ban them.